Hello, YouTube and Dr. Rome. Um, Welcome back to my channel where today I'll be reviewing chapters 18 and 19 of Focus on Leadership by Larry Spears. We'll just dive right into chapter 18. This chapter is written by Tamara Friedman, Scott G. Isaacson, and K. Brian Dorval. We'll start with a picture of here's Tamara. She is a consultant and has worked on a lot of stuff with the Greenleaf Center, but she along with the other two guys are involved in the Creative Problem Solving Initiative and Creative Solving Group in Buffalo. Here we have Brian Dorval. He also involved with the Creative Problem Solving Group. He's worked with many Fortune 500 companies, and he just mainly talks to companies about being creative, about the way that they think about leadership and that kind of stuff. And last but not least, here is we have Scott G. Isaacson, and similar stuff. They all kind of work together, it seems, on this creative problem solving in Buffalo. So yeah, it seems like they all three have a passion for creativity in terms of leadership. So let us begin. Of the favorite quotes from chapter 18, start on page 258. It says, "We believe the reason creativity is central to serving and leading is that there's no pre-existing formula that tells us what to do or how to do it. Servant leaders must create their way into the answers." And I feel like this doesn't necessarily only apply only to servant leadership, but every type of leader is going to be presented with new situations, like where you're kind of having to think of stuff on the fly. I forget what kind of leadership style that is. It's situational. And so they're saying, I didn't really value being a creative as a leader, but it's saying everybody is to a different extent. And so in leadership, we're being creative by thinking of new ways of doing things on the fly and such of that. I thought that was a good point, that even as leaders, we can be creative. The next quote I got was on page 262, kind of talking about if you want to create a environment of creativity, try doing something along these lines. So it says, the next time someone approaches you with a new idea, try responding to the person by identifying 3 things you like about the idea. Then identify 3 concerns or limitations you have, but phrase them as a question beginning with how to. Then identify 2 or 3 things that are unique or different about the idea. And this type of response will get new thinking. New thinking will do much to establish a climate supportive of people using creativity. And I think the first part of recognizing 3 things that you like about the idea is really important, of making sure people feel like, oh yeah, we have the ability to speak out and not just be immediately shut down. And sometimes when I'm leading that kind of creative process, when we're planning things like the events that I help out with, somebody will say something crazy and another person will shut it down right away, but I just encourage, no, don't. Like, this is not the place for shutting ideas down. Like, we'll analyze the logistics of things later, but as of right now, when we're being creative, just let things flow, and just, if it's fun, just put it down, think of new things. And I just liked the idea of kind of encouraging people as they're going through that process. And then the last quote I had is 266, page 266. The more successful organizations embrace a more inclusive leadership approach. Everyone was encouraged to use his or her creativity. They relied less on the formal hierarchy or senior leaders, which resulted in increased initiative throughout the organization. And I just thought it was cool to that this is saying successful organizations are ones that involve everyone, kind of like what we've been talking about this whole year, of getting the people on the front line to help in the decision making process, because those are the ones that really know what's going on within a company, what's going on in any aspect. Whereas the hierarchy, the senior leadership are kind of removed from the day to day. And so just inclusive and not necessarily letting them run the whole company per se, but just including them on ideas and thought process. And then, yeah. So now we'll move into chapter 19. We have Judy Wicks, who is a big philanthropist and made a lot of strides in terms of like food and using sustainable sources, and in terms of like animals and the kind of treatment that animals get. She had helped open the so she owns the White Dog Cafe and the Black Cat retail store, and then she also helped start that clothing company, which I'm blanking on the name right now. I know it was on here somewhere. Urban Outfitters. So yeah, really cool lady, and we'll dive right in. So the first page, page 269, stuck out to me. She's talking about her cafe. She says, "Our whole mission is to serve fully in 4 different areas. Number 1, serving each other as fellow employees. Number 2, serving our community. Number 3, serving our natural environment. And number 4, serving our customers." I don't know if these were in a particular order, but I think it was in a particular order. I think that serving your fellow employees is the most important thing, and a lot of people put the customer first and all that, but when you have that team of unity within the workplace, not only do employees just enjoy being at work, but it just makes it easier for everyone to run smoothly, and this in turn reflects back to serving the customer, because when you're surrounded by people that you care about and people that you can trust, it's easy working together. And also, number 2, serving our community and just having that mindset of putting others above you. And yeah, I just thought it was cool, alongside the environment. And then all of these, having these prioritized, will reflect onto serving the customer as well. Yeah, she had a cool story. And yeah, the next quote I got was page 277. She's talking about the award ceremony she would host every year for her team. And she said, "At the Howl, the award ceremony, we celebrate not only what we accomplished as a company, but the individuals who work there and what they've accomplished outside of work." She's talking about like painters, musicians, actors, students, any kind of achievement that any of her employees did throughout the year, they celebrate. And I was trying to think of ways that I could implement this within my own leadership coming up in the future. I have the job of managing the campus-wide events team, and we do celebrate the things that we do within the team, but trying to notice when people are outstanding in other areas, not just within the workplace. I thought this was a really cool idea. And she also talks about, at this event, she shares all the finances, all the like accomplishments that the business made. So it's like there's no hiding where the money's going within her business. She shares it with her employees, and she was saying that the restaurant only has 1 location, and it became super successful. I think it was saying they make $5 million or something crazy a year. And so it's just cool that she involves and really builds up that team of unity within that workplace. And then lastly, on page 279, she's talking about like the animal cruelty in terms of food. And so she was finding out about how they were treating pigs, and says, "I decided I didn't want to be in the restaurant business if it involves the torture of animals. I said to the chef, take the pork off the menu, take the bacon, take off the pork chops, take off the ham, take it all off until we find a way to buy pork that has been raised in a humane way." And she said at first we had to buy a whole pig or cow. We'd have the whole carcass on the floor of the kitchen and the chef trying to figure out how to use the parts. Um, I just thought it was cool how she stood up for something that she believed in. You know, she didn't like the way that animals were being treated, and rightly so. It's pretty disgusting, the farms, but she didn't just say, "Oh well," and move on. Like, she put herself and her money at risk in order to change a bigger thing around the United States. And so through that first step of faith, even though it was a risk, it paid off and she made big strides. And I was just thinking about how we as Christians support companies that are very anti-God. And it's like, are we going to be people that stand up for what we believe in, or are we going to be people that just go along and say, oh, whatever, you know? So I thought that was a good inspiration, and yeah, very inspiring, and I appreciate these two chapters. But that is all I have. Thank you for tuning in. Catch you in the next video.